Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel Dhyani classes. If you are watching my video for the first time, do subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so that I get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So in today's video we will cover the third part of the chapter Madam Rides the Bus, written by Vallika Nun from class 10th CBSE. So let's get started. So in the second part of the chapter, Valli assured the old lady that she is not a child and she can travel all alone and she will take care herself, and then she started looking outside the window to avoid further discussion or unnecessary questions. So let's jump into the third part of the chapter now. Her first journey, what careful, painstaking, elaborate plans she had to make for it. So here the narrator is saying that this was her first journey, and before travel she had to plan very careful and painstaking. That means she had to be very attentive towards many things such as fare arrangement, travel time and details about the bus timing, etc. So these were the plan that she had made before traveling. So elaborate plans means managing or arranging things in details. She had thriftily saved whatever stray coins came her way. That means whatever sources of coins had come in her way, she saved them for her first ever bus ride, because this ride was a dream ride for her. So thriftily saved means a very careful and wise use of money. And further he says resisting every temptation to buy peppermints, toys, balloons and the like, and finally she had saved a total of 60 paise. So here he is saying that whatever money she used to get from her parents or relative or other sources of money, she resisting every temptation. That means she broke strong desire for toys, balloons and other stuff in order to buy. But she saved money for her first ever bus ride, and finally she had saved a total 60 paise. That means she was able to save 60 paise for the bus ride for both ways from village to town and town to village. How difficult it had been, particularly that day at the village fair, but she had resolutely stifled a strong desire to ride the merry-go-round, even though she had the money. So once she went to the village fair and she saw a merry-go-round, that means it's a never-ending machine that moves round and round of a runabout on which children rides for fun and amusement. So she wanted to ride, but very wisely she put away her desire with great determination to go on the merry-go-round for fun as other children. And while seeing merry-go-round where children were enjoying the ride, she was not able to breathe properly because it was very hard and it was very difficult for her to control a strong desire to ride the merry-go-round. So resolutely means with great determination and unwavering manner, and stifled means suffocate or choke. After she had enough money saved, her next problem was how to slip out of the house without her mother's knowledge. So here the narrator is saying that after she had enough money saved, that means she spent money on things very wisely and she was able to save money for the bus ride, and her next problem was how to slip out of the house without her mother's knowledge. That means she had to come out of the house without informing her mother, and that was the next problem for her, to sneak out without informing anyone, especially her mother. So she was planning very wisely every aspect of riding the bus the very first time. So slip out means sneak out or come out of the house. But she managed this without too much difficulty. That means in the end she managed everything such as attraction for toys or taking a ride on merry-go-round, etc. So she saved a lot of money without any difficulties and saved money. Every day after lunch her mother would nap from about 1 to 4 or so. So here Valli knew that every day after lunch her mother usually takes rest from about 1 to 4 every afternoon. So she was planning to come out of the house between 1 to 4 o'clock afternoon. So what do you mean by a nap? That means taking the rest of sleep lightly or for 1 to 2 hours only. Further he says Valli always used these hours for her excursions as she stood looking from the doorway of her house, or sometimes even ventured out into the village. So here 1 to 4 o'clock afternoon her mother used to take a rest, and Valli used to stand at the doorway looking outside, and sometimes she used to take a risk to go out the village without informing her mother. So she thought that this is the best time to take a bus ride for a short time. So excursions means a short journey or a tour, and venture means risk-taking actions. Today, these same hours could be used for her first excursion outside the village. That means she thought that this is the best time to come out of the house and take her first bus ride as per the plan. So, the first excursion means the first trip or a tour. Further, he says the bus rolled on, now cutting across a bare landscape, now rushing through a tiny hamlet or past an old wayside shop. So here now she came out of the house and get on the bus and thought about the plan, how she made the plan. So she took a seat and thought over the plan again and again, and then the bus started moving forward and the bus went through the empty and large landscape, and then she saw a small hamletry alongside the road, and then she saw an old wayside shop. That means she saw a strange shop at the edge of the road. So rushing through means passing through something for a shorter time than usual. Sometimes the bus seemed on the point of gobbling up another vehicle that was coming towards them or a pedestrian crossing the road. So here he is saying that the bus seemed on the point of gobbling up another vehicle. That means the bus moving forward at high speed, and when another vehicle come from the opposite direction, Wally thought it would swallow the coming vehicle. That means as if this bus swallow the other vehicle, or a pedestrian crossing the road. That means a person walking alongside the road or crossing the road swallowed by the bus. So gobbling up another vehicle means swallowing another vehicle. Further he says, but lo, somehow it passed on smoothly, leaving all obstacles safely behind. So here he is saying that for her surprise, another vehicle and pedestrian passed safely and the bus moved smoothly without causing or damaging anything while moving forward on the road. Trees came running towards them but then stopped as the bus reached them and simply stood there helpless for a moment by the side of the road before rushing away in the other direction. So when she was sitting on the bus, she was also looking outside. That trees came running towards them. That means there were a lot of trees beside the road and trees looked like as if trees are running or moving towards them, but then stopped as the bus reached them. That means as soon as the bus reached them, the trees would stop running and looked helpless for a moment, and as the bus crossed them, it appeared as if trees were running away from the bus. Suddenly Wally clapped her hand with glee. That means suddenly Wally became very happy and started clapping her hand with joy. So glee means happy or joy. A young cow, tail high in the air, was running very fast right in the middle of the road, right in front of the bus. So here she saw a young cow running in the middle of the road in front of the bus, and its tail was high in the air. So she became very happy because a cow was running in front of the bus with a tail high in the air, and then she started clapping. The bus slowed to a crawl and the driver sounded his horn loudly again and again. So here he is saying that the bus slowed to a crawl. That means the bus slowed down and the driver continued to sound horn loudly again and again so that cow would hear it and move in another direction. But the more he honked, the more frightened the animal became and the faster it galloped, always right in front of the bus. So here the driver honked repeatedly and a small cow became more frightened and it is running in front of the bus more faster. Somehow this was very funny to Wally. That means this scene made Wally happy, and further he says she laughed and laughed until there were tears in her eyes. So Wally started laughing and laughing so much, and then while laughing there were tears in her eyes, which means her tears started coming out. Further he says, "Hey lady, haven't you laughed enough?" called the conductor. "Better save some for tomorrow." So here the bus conductor saw that Wally was laughing too much. So the bus conductor said something to Wally, as he was jolly kind of person, and said, "Hey lady, haven't you laughed enough and better save some for tomorrow?" That means you must not laugh too much today because it is enough for today, and save some rest of the laughter for tomorrow. At last the car moved off the road and soon the bus came to a railroad crossing. So finally the car went off the road and then the bus came to a railroad crossing and stopped there. A speck of a train could be seen in the distance, growing bigger and bigger as it drew near. That means Wally and other passengers who were seated in the bus could see a small dotted train coming towards the railroad crossing. because they had to wait for the train to pass, and as the train came nearer, it grew bigger and bigger. Then it rushed past the crossing gate with a tremendous roar and rattle shaking the bus. So here the author is saying that when the train came near the crossing gate, the whole bus was shaking and there was a huge roar with rattling sound as well. So when the train passed the crossing, it passed with a huge roar and shaking the entire road and along with it bus. Then the bus went on and passed the train station. So as soon as the train passed the crossing gate, the bus started moving from the crossing. So tremendous roar and rattle means making huge and clattering sound. From there, it traversed a busy, well laid out shopping street and turning entered a wider thoroughfare. So after the crossing, the bus started moving and reached a busy street and went through shopping street and crossed this busy street and then turned a little bit and then it entered thoroughfare. So what do you mean by thoroughfare? That means the bus entered into a main road of the town. Such big bright looking shop, what glittering displays of clothes and other merchandise. So here author is saying that there were big and brightly lit shops. That means shops were emitting or reflecting much light or shining with brightness. And further he says there were different design of clothes and other merchandise. So what do you mean by merchandise here? That means different kinds of goods to be bought or sold were inside the shop. Such big crowd, stuck dumb with wonder, Wally gaped at everything. So Wally saw a big crowd near the shops and got shocked and gaped at everything. That means her mouth was open while looking at everything such as crowd and glittering displays of clothes and other merchandise because it was the first time for her to see big crowd and shops. Then the bus stopped and everyone got off except Wally. So finally the bus came to its last destination or station and everybody got off except Wally. Further he says, "Hey lady," said the conductor, "aren't you ready to get off?" So here the bus conductor informed Wally that this was the last stop and aren't you ready to get off? That means are you not getting down? Because she was only there on the bus. "This is as far as your 30 paise takes you." "No," Wally said, "I am going back on this same bus." So here the bus conductor told Wally that you paid me 30 paise only and this much you can travel for 30 paise. So in reply, Wally said, "No, I don't want to get off because I have to go back to my village on this same bus." She took another 30 paise from her pocket and handed 2 coins to the conductor. So after hearing the conductor, she took out 30 paise from her pocket as she had only 30 paise left in her pocket and she handed over the coins to the conductor. That means she gave 30 paise to the conductor in order to go back on this same bus. Why, is something the matter? No, nothing's the matter. So when she gave 30 paise to the conductor, he said, "Why are you going back and is there any problem or matter?" So she said, "No, I don't have any problem," and said, "I just felt like having a bus ride, that's all." So she told him that I just have bus ride, that's why I am giving you 30 paise to go back to the village. So don't you want to have a look at the sights now that you are here? So after that, the bus conductor asked her, "If you want to have a look around, you can deboard the bus and have a look at the beautiful sights in this place." Further he says, "All by myself, oh, I would be much too afraid." So here Wally said that how can I go outside alone? And she was afraid to go outside alone. So she said, "I don't want to go outside." Greatly amused by the girl's way of speaking, the conductor said, "But you weren't afraid to come in the bus?" So here the bus conductor got surprised and became very happy the way she was speaking and avoided to go outside alone and said, "But you weren't afraid to come in the bus." That means the bus conductor said to her that you are not afraid to travel all alone without anyone's help. Then why are you afraid to have a look at the sights? "Nothing to be afraid of about that," she answered. So she replied very confidently that I am not afraid at all, and as far as the bus ride is concerned, there was nothing to be afraid in that. Further he says, "Well then, why not to go to that stall over there and have something to drink?" So again he said that why don't you go to that stall over there and have some drink? And nothing to be afraid of about that either. That means the bus conductor said that you don't have to be afraid to go stall over there and nobody will harm you at all. So this is end of the third part of the chapter. Let's look at the final part of the chapter in my next video. For more informative videos, do subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so that I get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So thank you so much for watching once again. Stay safe, stay healthy.